We're absolutely delighted to have Rachel, our first violinist, here today, well, in Hamburg, joining us. And that, I have to say, has been one of the huge benefits and beauties of being forced online during this pandemic, that we can still find ways to be together, albeit through a computer screen. And I'm absolutely delighted to have you here today, Rachel. It's a great joy. And we've got four fantastic players lined up for you today. We're working on Bach, principally, and Biber. And I'll introduce each student as they go. So for now, I'd like to introduce Emily White, our first player. Now, you might well know Emily's name already, because Emily's a professional trombone and sackbut player, but the violin is another string to her bow, if you excuse the dreadful pun. Emily is a member of the English Cornet and Sackbut Ensemble and the founder of the Huntley Summer School. And she's also a professor at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama and at the Welsh College of Music and Drama. But aside from sackbut and trombone, Emily studied Baroque violin with Rachel Podger and then Walter Reiter as a postgraduate student at Trinity College of Music in London. So we're meeting you today, Emily, as a violinist, and it gives me huge pleasure to introduce you. I'll let you say what you're going to perform.
Thank you so much for letting me be part of this. It's really exciting. Get a chance to play the violin again. I'm going to play the Adagio from the first sonata, solo sonata by Bach. Shall I chox away, Rachel?
Go ahead. I'm really looking forward to it. It's so nice to see you again, Emily.
Yeah, you too.
Congratulations. Congratulations, well done. I'm sorry, my computer just died in the middle of it. It sounded gorgeous what I did here, so I'm just doing my rescue operation. I did wonder, I liked your different ornamentations and added things. One question though, did you start off playing, when you practice this, have you dissected the rhythmic elements?
Probably not to the extent that you mean. A bit.
A bit.
Yes.
Because I did wonder if that could be, if you could just look at that a bit more, because he's actually, he's got there is a sense behind how he's structured these little filigree ornamentation, and I'm really sorry, my computer I was trying something really great and then it didn't want to do it, so it just died. It switched off in between. The other thing that I noticed in the very beginning is another part of dissection is the harmonic structure. I noticed you've done some of that, and that's been really nice to see, and to hear that you're following certain lines and certain voices, which I really, really like. And I wondered if you could do that even more. It's so brilliant that you stand up and you just play it in front of everybody just like that. Well done. And do you mind starting again from the top?
Yeah. I'll try not to miss quite so Oh, sorry, I forgot the C.
Emily, hi. Sorry. A question. Have you pretended to play as if you were a different instrument?
No.
So I tend to think of these pieces as being very orchestral, or a keyboard. So, like the beginning, we've got these chords that are setting the scene for G minor. It's just a celebration of G minor, G, and then D major with a 7 chord in it, a D major with a 7 chord in it, G minor. So we've got that. So it's just that with a little bit of ornamentation. Then comes this next interesting bit, which I wonder if it's like we can almost think of it as going into recitative, especially from bar 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm reading from the facsimile, so sorry, they're counting. So for me, when you go for example, the bit so this, like, the orchestra is playing the recit chords, and we're playing little voices on top.
Rachel, sorry to cut in. I think you might need to adjust your levels a bit. We're getting quite a bit of distortion and feedback just from you. Just maybe take things down a bit.
So you mean too loud on that?
Too loud and a bit of distortion in your voice and playing.
Yeah, I've changed computer, you see, so. Is that sounding better?
Slightly, yeah.
Okay. Right, let's hope that's
great. Thank you.
So that's also how I would treat beginning chords, actually. So we have something which is not important in between something that is important. And I wondered, I feel a bit breathless on the chords. And I know it's difficult to just settle into this piece at the beginning. I wondered, could you try with slightly a slower bow in sort of the middle of your bow? Yeah, if we pull fast and have very little at the end, then you've used, as a wind player, you will have used all your breath in the beginning. You sound at the end. You sound like that, and you haven't got any more left. And that's with the air that is in the voice is the bow and the bow speed. So, excuse me. If we go, it sounds automatically a bit like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And then you can, and then you find a pulse, and then you are free within that pulse then to change when you want to. You don't have to play to the tip, if you don't want to. But I would find a pulse. There is a slow pulse. Yeah, and the next bit I find very interesting. Are you playing from Bärenreiter or facsimile?
Well, I'm Bärenreiter, but I've got the facsimile here next to it, so I can use...
Have you seen in bar 1, 2, 3, in the middle of bar 3, in the facsimile, in Bärenreiter it's already been corrected. There's an E natural. And I've been wondering, I think it was many years ago that Andrew Manzi said that is an E and should be played as such. Now I have over many years then also found reasoning why that is not an E natural and cannot be an E natural, and it is possibly the only mistake in the entire facsimile. I mean, his handwriting is so impeccable when it comes to notes. But we have the parallel parts in the second half. Do you know what I mean? This is Tati. This is the thing that I put up where both parts were together.
Yeah, I've put all the music in a Dropbox link. It's in the chat. If you scroll up to the top of the chat, anyone who's watching and listening,
I can also show. I have printed it out. There is. In this bar, we have just before where it's actually happening, we have in the parallel the A flat. And so there in the parallel part, it's definitely just a semitone step and not a major second, which I find it's fascinating. Also that he's also the setting up the atmosphere, the harmonic environment that he has is set up there as an E flat, even though it's not marked. That's just one thing I wanted to clarify. I think playing from facsimile is always a beautiful thing. I'm sorry, that's enough chatting. How about going on from exactly that bar 3, That's lovely. It's really lovely. And I can hear the bass line moving, which I really appreciate, because that's something very important to me. And it feels like you've taken that apart. So you found the bass line. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Nice. I think you can be more. It sounds so great. Be brave. Be brave. And with that I mean, you can go more into the string and pick out the ringing notes. Also, with these bass lines, we hear them, but I feel, and I can hear that you've planned them, you understand them, and that we can get more of that.
Yeah.
And it would be nice if you, along with understanding the bass line, take us by the hand on this journey through Bach's Adagio village. So we come to a harmonic bit and we say, oh, we're going to turn right now. So you prepare us for that. And now just to the cadence to D, where you just finished. That's also, he's had a whole bar of an A pedal point. I always have to remember if it's organ or pedal. In one language it's one, the other one it's the other one. So you can actually, I sing along with this. So I'd hold the just to get a feel.
Okay, I'll give that a go. So what have I got here? Have I got a G? La, la. That's really fun.
Slow movements is brilliant. They're brilliant like that, because then you understand the harmony. And I find with any piece, but especially these solo pieces by Bach, that there are two ways of thinking of his harmonic writing. One is to look for the bass line, and he bass lines are really important with him, what he does, how he does it. And the other thing is to look for the harmonic structure, the underlying harmony. So in the very first bar, going back to the first bar, we have a G in the bass line, then we have an A in the bass line, then we have a D in the bass line, but it's not that. He's implying things, but it's just a G minor, D major, D major, G minor. So we have a and I ask myself these questions: why? Why does he do that? And for me, the answer to this 1.5 bars is: this is G major, G minor. This is G minor. Be clear, everybody. This is G minor. All right? Are we settled here? We've got G minor, and then, oh my God, what's he done here? Bless you.
Thank you.
What's he done here? And it's sort of like he's implying a different key. He's actually implying one key and actually getting another. He's implying, but it's not C minor, it's E flat major. So he does that a lot. He implies, and he has like a double harmony then, where he has like a 7th standing, but actually it's a completely different chord harmony. So he uses these double meanings. So I find it really helpful to try and find both things. One's this harmonic structure and the bass line.
Yeah.
So And then we can take our audience by the hand and say, okay, here's this cadence. And another thing that he likes is sighing. So these suspensions are here, 4/3. And then the ultimate exclamation. And when you take it apart, the B flat at the top is not really a harmonic part. It's an ornamentation, the B flat.
Yeah.
And then we think of that. Oh, that's an ornamentation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How about going from the after your D cadence?
Good.
Sing. Emily? Lovely. I think Tati wanted to say something, but I'll go first. Do you know that this is the B part? It's the middle section, and it's got such a middle section feel to it, I think. Do you know what I mean by that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I certainly feel it's the middle of the building, as it were, where things are more dramatic.
Yeah, because we have this form as for Bach. It's like it's the holy architecture inside his piece. So we have the beginning 1.5 set up into G minor, and then the piece starts in, because we come back to that later. But he's had this huge cadence to the D, this pedal point, and then D. So we can make a big thing out of here. This is the cadence. This is it. And then get a different feel. And yeah, so I would one possibility of having a difference there, somehow showing the audience this is different, is to have either the very rigid rhythmic on the outside and then free on the inside on the B section, or to have the A and the A repeat section freer and the middle rigid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we get a feel for the structure. Sorry, Tati, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, sorry, Rachel. I know you're not on your regular computer. There are a couple of attendees have said that there seems to be a bit of weird sound coming. Rachel's computer crashed just as we started this, so I think it might be worth taking a minute to try and either reduce the level a bit, because especially when you play, we're getting a lot of distortion in your sound, which is such a shame. I mean, we can hear you speaking, that's fine. It's a bit distorted, but the sound, we're missing your gorgeous sound. So if you wanted to take a minute and try and, I don't know,
yeah, and I'll have a little go at my rigid rhythms.
Okay, perfect.
I'll be rigid and people can listen in and see if it's rigid enough.
Join again, computer.
That's still a bit wavy.
I think it means taking apart. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, brilliant. Well done. Thank you.
I think it means taking apart everyone, so every little bit, and I would actually check the very beginning as well. So it would be and I like singing these things as well, even I am absolutely not a singer. But I do it in the privacy of my own room. I do it in the privacy of my own Zoom. So, yeah. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. I wonder, because an adagio is the bass, is referring to the harmonic movement or the bass line. So it doesn't. It shouldn't be too slow, actually. Do you know what I mean? You're right.
Yes. Did you ask me to do something?
I
just didn't get that bit.
No, I think it's, you know, the pulse is already slow with the bass line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Nellie's here. Sorry, I haven't seen her for years. All right.
This is a party.
So I would actually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ah, that was it. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I thought. So there's an inner pulse that's going despite what all the stuff that's happening.
Yeah, yeah. That really rings true. I like that. Should I play from the start?
Wait a minute. Actually, what I'd like, is it possible to do, because we have, you know, in the middle bit is quite exciting. I'd just like to hear that. We have, you know, your B section. And then later, it goes into very exciting keys. And then we have a big cadence again. From there, he's just going basically into a cadence. Can you do from somewhere around there?
Yeah, from after that surprise.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So this is an incredibly surprise ending to the B section. This is the end of the B section. And the stuff beforehand is not so important, you know. It's just a broken chord, C minor. So very slow moving, and I think that would help us if you could bring out the this harmony to separate the important harmonic pillars from the little, you know, ornamentation or broken chords, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's lovely, because you're leading me by the hand. You're leading me by the hand through his town. One very last thing that I wanted to say, because I believe we're at the end of our time, is the comparison. Where's my double of bar? Dee-dee-dee-dum. We have, the first time it comes through, we have written out as a chord. In the second time coming through, it's written out as a broken chord. In the first time, we have in the middle of bar 5. So we have this one. And the second time. So we have, just to know, that's a way of thinking, oh, is he showing us we should play this chord really sort of like jelly, sort of like really sort of like gooey, because there are a million ways of playing chords. So these broken chords, or how he's written them, we can interpret them in many, many different ways. And I like to think of that parallel as being one is a broken chord and one is not a broken chord, but you could play them almost the same way.
Yeah.
Anyway, well done, Emily. It was lovely hearing you on the violin.
Oh, it's really, really interesting, Rachel. Thank you so much.
No,
Got
thank
lots
you.
written down.
Thank you so much, Emily. Yeah, sorry there was a little bit of interference, but I think we're all fixed with that now. We are, after all, 18th century people rather than 21st. So thank you for your patience. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm just full of admiration how you can play that beautifully, and it's not even your first study instrument. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a real
really
treat. I get to sit
stimulating
here
half an
and
hour.
hear these beautiful performances. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
Well, I'll now introduce our next performer, who's Anna Perl, from originally from Berlin, and I believe Anna's now studying in Hamburg, or living in Hamburg anyway, possibly in Vienna today, I believe. Are you there, Anna?
Hi.
Fantastic. Great to see you. So you studied at the University of the Arts as a youth student in Berlin, and you're now in Hamburg and studying modern violin with Sebastian Schmidt, I believe. And you're going to perform for us today the Grave from the Sonata BWV1003 in A minor. Is that correct? Fantastic. Well, I'll hand over to you and Rachel. And just for our audience, you're performing at Emily was performing on a Baroque violin at modern pitch, a Baroque pitch, and Anna is performing. I believe you have a Baroque bow.
Yeah, that's the only Baroque thing.
But you're performing at a modern pitch, 4/4/2, in fact, slightly sharper than we might be used to over here in London, but at Hamburg pitch, shall we say? Brilliant. Thank you.
Well done, very nice, thank you. It's a bit, the sound was a bit, at least on my end, the sound was not optimal for some reason, unfortunately. But well done, I could understand a lot from that. I'm going to take my modern fiddle as well. I came prepared, just so we don't have a discrepancy of a semitone. Yeah, there a couple of things. If I address the fact of vibrato in the Baroque is considered an ornament, so it's not something that happens by accident. In the modern violin, I believe it's more a tone production thing. It comes under tone production, and in the Baroque it comes under ornamentation. So you do something like that when it's a particularly special moment or scary, or you want to change the sound in some way. The other thing is are the chords. I believe that we have a huge spectrum of how we play the chords, and even among us Baroque musicians, it's not used to its full extent. I believe it can be a really, really, really wide. It's a huge field. It's not digital, it's analog. It's got all these in between things. So, and this has an effect on what voice you can bring out and what sort of affect you want to say. So in the beginning, you can experiment with what different types of chord breaks there are. So let me take actually a bit which has maybe got more chords in it. So I'm thinking more like the 3-part chords. So either way, that's a fairly modern way because we have 2 notes at the bottom and two notes together at the top. And then there's the rolling over 1 into 2 at the top, or you have, and then you leave it alone at the top. So there are many, many different kinds depending on what affect, what feeling you want. So you want an orchestral feeling. So we had this something like that gives the feeling that there's a keyboardist playing all the notes together, or there is an orchestra playing trump, trump together. Or you roll it and then you get this sort of like on a keyboard, they would roll their chords to make a big length of sound, a sound cloud, as it were. And I think you can use that more, this variation. Okay, you want to give it a go from the beginning? Thank you. No, thank you. The other thing I was thinking, if the bass line, I go on a lot about bass lines. Have you sung it?
Yes.
Have you sung the bass line?
Yeah.
Or shall we see what happens with a harmony, actually? Because we have this beginning. If I take away the bottom octave and take it up an octave and play chords instead of ornamentation, what possibilities are there? So we have A minor. And then I would look, what does it mean? So this G, this is like an important note for us because it's the first moving part. What is it? I would say it's the bit where my favorite bit is when a keyboardist has in their right hand, they play their notes, harmonies, they have the bass line, and all they do to make this huge effect is move a tiny bit down and everything else stays. I love that sort of thing. That makes a big effect, and he's basically done that here. But it's not an important, it's just a suggestion. So it's very different to the G minor one in that he's opened it saying, this is G minor, that's it. No, this one, he's going in his stepward, traveling down. Ya, dee, 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 da, da, dee. And in the keyboard version, he actually resolves on the middle of the second bar. So he's got so that E actually comes where it's only suggested here. I wonder if he actually just forgot to write it in our part. I would almost feel like playing it because it's really, we're waiting for that resolution up to an E. So now what I think, and my questions that I ask myself is why? Why does he do this? What does he want us to feel? What is he trying to get out of us? What does each chord, what does he mean? You know, let's see. Relax. Build up. Broken chord. So then he opens up again. So it's this sort of shade, light and shade. I wonder, I'm going to give you a challenge now. Can you play it and separate, at least mentally and maybe even orally, separate the chord or the accompaniment world from your... at the moment, they're so unified, I get the feeling it's one player only, but it's an orchestra in a way. Lovely, lovely. Lovely, very nice. That's the way to go, I think. And still keeping that inner rhythm that you had at the beginning. But I think that is the way to go. I think I asked why in this bar 2 on the second beat, that's a very odd slur in a way that you've, is it in the Bärenreiter part? Because you've done it both times, haven't you? It comes later as well.
Well, I'm just doing it to get to an upper, but
oh yeah,
supposed to be actually
would mean it's because the A is resolving very shortly onto the G sharp and then properly onto the G sharp, which is why the slur is in a bit of an odd place. A 4/3, as they say in the Baroque. With ornamentation even. And then there's this shock, either a loud shock or a quiet shock. So many different ways of playing it. I would suggest practicing every part in any possible way it is, and then you'll find out which bits you like and how you wouldn't play it. So and I would look for these shock horror moments or not, and is it each of these keys has a color, has a flavor. It'll taste of cinnamon, or it'll taste of something less nice maybe, or it'll be dark and fluffy. I find that one just now is a bit dark and sort of like very, very withdrawn, pulling itself in, and then it opens up with the A minor going up, bright. C major is such a relief. It's such a relief. And then it comes dark again, it falls down. So he's coming up and then he's coming down. So we are a ballet dancer. We're a dancer controlling these movements. And I would still try to experiment with these chords and try to release yourself from this, I have to keep two notes at the top thing. There are so many different ways. Especially in the fugues, you have so you have the orchestra going. How would you play it is in an orchestra? Jump, bump, jump, bump, jump. You wouldn't play word. So it's sort of like, it's something I call transcending technique. You have to go over the technique and think like, if necessary, a different instrument. Could you go from I'll go from the beginning. It's not that long. So here he's come to a pause. Here he's come to a pause. So he has he's suddenly settled at C major. So this is ornamentation. We were here, weren't we? Yeah, this is ornamentation. Playful. And then it's just a build-up in C major. And I see Tati wanted to add a little instrumentation thing.
I'm sorry, I hate to cut in. That's the problem with Zoom. I don't want to interrupt you. But what you were saying about the way you think about the chords, I'm sure everyone knows this. You know this, Rachel. But Agricola, writing in Bach's obituary, just 4 years after he died, wrote that the composer, Bach, often played these pieces himself on the clavichord and added so much harmonies to them as he found necessary. So Bach already had this idea of thinking of outside the violin box for them. They're to imagine them on another instrument.
Well, even particularly this piece, which I put up on Dropbox, Bach himself, he put it into a keyboard version. So the whole of this sonata is in a keyboard version, which I find fascinating, because then you can actually see how he's, in a way, orchestrated his own piece and the fugue, and how he hasn't managed to add much else in the last movement. It's just a play between the left hand and the right, swapping over. But it tells us a lot in this piece. And also, I think it also tells a bit what he felt in the limits of the violin and why he stuck with the organ later. Because he was an amazing violinist. He was a phenomenal violinist. I think it might have been the first instrument that he learned before keyboard. I would like to actually, just at this point, just to, as a violinist, we grow up with the Bach sonatas and partitas. They have been set in stone. Meisel, they're Bach's 10 Commandments. They were written in that order. They were composed, zack, 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 finished, right? That's how it is. So what we know is this order. This is the order we know. This is the order we think is set in stone. Well, Pisendel probably took a copy of, he was also in Köthen visiting Bach, he probably took a copy of it down to Dresden, and there is a little, there's a note in the archive that there was exactly this sei solo, or sei solo, it's a wrong Italian, it works in German, it means be alone, stand alone, and he took it, and the order in Dresden is this. It's completely different. Yeah, except the end, but the partitas come first and the sonatas come second. And I think that's totally fascinating, why that, that's been changed. This is not a set in stone order. And also these two ones chosen today are written when he was relatively young still. So the musicologists have found in comparing it with other works from the era, the dates when they were composed. So the G minor was 1713, 1714 in Weimar still. And this A minor in 1717, 1718, at the end of Weimar, at the beginning of Köthen. That's finished now. So I always find it interesting to think, how did he get here? And I think he would have learned the violin using a short bow. And he would have possibly used, because he learned at the end of the German era, so he learned possibly on a clip-in frog, so even shorter than my Baroque bow. Can we see it? Yeah. And it's maybe if you had money, you'd get a bow with a snakewood bow, but they were more expensive. They were reserved for those who had more money. So you might have had a short one like this, and he might have learned the violin like this, it being, a sort of crossover. Try playing it one day like that. It's very interesting. It's a totally different feel. It's a different idea to articulation as well. Right, so I still felt that you have an idea of this is a chord when you play a chord, and I can hear that. I wonder if you can separate yourself and play it imagining yourself to be an orchestra or a keyboardist. Yeah, can we do from So now, can you do just the bass line? So we have me, it's like this is a cadence. When we come to a part of a cadence, it's like die Zusammenfassung. This is the conclusion. He has now put it all together. I'd like to feel that. This is the taking the audience by the hand. So same place again. So, and then you ask yourself, what tool do I take to make it sound like this is the cadence? I find a very helpful tool to be playing. I use verses a lot, so loud versus quiet, light versus dark, hard versus soft. And in this case, we've had flexibility versus matter of fact, sachlich, right? So you have before we've had this build-up, which is very flexible. Surprise, wonder, cadence. Oh, sorry. And then you can go off free again. So this contrast of being free and then matter of fact, we know where we are here now, and then you can slip off and be very fluid again. Same again. And then comes the shock, So change your sound even more. It's not coming across, it's difficult on the computer, but I would change sound from with how much air you have in the bow and how much, how sticky or how not sticky you are with the bow. In the Baroque, I would also say, so we lighten a bit off. Often trills are also very helpful when they have an internal rhythm, and I tend to cut off the rhythm in the middle of the beat. So and then you can feel as a hearer, you can really understand when the cadence is coming. It also helps for our own internal rhythm. Can you go on from after that?
So after the cadence, I switched the sound?
Yeah, okay, then do maybe the cadence or the before. So we have this tom, ba-da-ba-dum, ba-da-ba-da-ba-dum, ba-da-ba-dum, ba-da-dum, da-dee, the expanse, big, large, da-da-dee-da-dum, da cadence, tom, sachlich, dum, ti-hum, on time, dum, chum, time. If you were to speak this, you would have before wonderment, starting, growing, and large, expanse. So the voice is large and expanded. And then we have a very, very clear cadence, which is understandable. And we finish. And the next rhetorical surprise is we come down. We have more air in the voice. We lead to a new thing. So we are actors in that sense. And the amount of air that we have in our voice is our bow and how much air is in the bow. So you can start a bit before if that's easier. I think this is probably the last thing we do with this bit before we go on. You know what I get the feeling of you. You're very, very left hand. Your mind is very present with the left hand. Can you take your mind? Your left hand is brilliant. It is brilliant. It's fantastic. It stays there. It's great. Shift to your right hand and give it a new virtuosity. All right? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That is just the beginning, because in the Baroque, the virtuosity was so much with the right arm as well. And that is like, I would say, you can expand on that a huge amount. That's the start. Concentrate on the right hand. It is our voice. The left hand, no problem. Is fine. Actually, you know, if we do right arm, if the sound is good, if the voice is flowing, if it's all our air, our right arm air, if it's flowing, if we're controlling it, that's a virtuosity. And the left hand is then actually no problem, because the left hand is a result of what we hear, which was a result of our right hand. So we can control our left hand by our right. Okay, so focus on your right. It sounds brilliant. Well done for playing. And yeah, it was a great pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So you can't probably see because some of us are muted, but everyone that I can see is applauding massively, and that goes for Emily's performance as well. It's a shame that only the active speaker screen can be seen in a way, because actually I'm getting to see some lovely things. I've seen Morag's cat disappear across the screen. I've seen Emily's dog. It's absolutely gorgeous. That's the way you should be playing and working to Bach, you know, in this wonderful setting. So, well, that's been absolutely transformational, actually, just listening to your interpretation, your tips, because these tips, Rachel, apply for all of us. I mean, I'm a cellist, but everything you say to do with the sonatas and partitas on the violin is equally applicable to the cello. And I know I've had the benefit of your thoughts many times as I've performed to you, which is just wonderful. Rachel, in fact, if you didn't know, I'll hold it up to the screen now, just as Jennifer, our next performer, gets ready to play. But Rachel's just recently written a book. I hope you can see this. I'm not going to chance sharing my screen just in case that bit of technology goes wrong. But it's Orchestral Technique in Action, and it's a short book, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's very Rachel. It's very personal, but full of wonderful, unique, I should say, insights into how to be a part of an orchestra, playing in a historically informed orchestra. And you can get this. You could order it through me, which gets around some of the issues of customs and Brexit and all those awful things. And I do believe it's orderable online as well. It might just take a little bit longer that way. But email me if you'd like any links to that, and I can certainly organise that. But I thoroughly recommend it. It's a really good read. It's not boring in any way. It's thrilling and funny and totally Rachel. But anyway, enough from me. I just wanted to now introduce Jennifer Cleland. Is that how I pronounce it, Jennifer?
Yeah, that's right.
Great, fantastic. And you are a graduate of the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, where you studied with Rachel Podger.
Oh, I didn't actually study with Rachel, so I sort of did Baroque as a second study.
Okay.
But yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I know the Royal Welsh is a place very close to Rachel's heart, because that's where you studied before coming to the Royal College, where we met, in fact.
Yep, absolutely. I've got fond memories of the place.
So we were delighted to see a Welsh College student sign up, which is fantastic. And you're going to perform. You're on Baroque violin now, so we're going back down a semitone. We're down to 415 from 442. And you're performing the Allegro, is that right? The closing movement of the sonata that Anna begun.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm going to go on mute and hand you and Rachel over to each other. Really looking forward to it.
Go for it.
Thank you.
Well done, well done, fantastic, great. Yes, it's his speciality, isn't it? Bach's speciality is a multifaceted single line. So he has more than two voices going along. Some are in this line, sometimes they have a break and it's just maybe a one. But even with a broken chord, he will fit in a bass line somewhere. He will do something with it. So I really like that. And he's got cadences, he's got pedal points. And I wonder how it, I ask myself, how do I bring these out? What tools can I use? How does one show one bit more than another? And I like the technique, at least for practicing, of using the versus thing. So putting something against something else. I would maybe play the whole movement through and just do long strokes against short strokes. What happens? Or loud against soft, right? Or hard against soft. So I would take one of those and see how far I get. And I think in this one, the loud, to get the feeling of, because he's written no dynamic, piano, forte, piano, forte, and then it stays bar, and then piano, and then forte, piano. So it's like an echo piece. I'm saying that because for the people who don't have the music in front, I would almost think about for the forte bits to maltreat the violins, what I call it. So you know, almost being a bit too brutal with it. And then that's the long. And then as a practice, you know what I mean? And how do you make a slur short? So clipping maybe, you know, what things can I do? Give that a go with the long and short. Just, it means you being with your right hand.
Okay.
So be brave with the long bow. So keep it long. The first few notes you're doing really well, and then keep it. It's a bit like OTT, right? Over the top, too much. You do that, the people in the front rows, they'll be like, oh, that's nice. Yeah. You do more of it. The people at the back rows will be, oh yeah, I can hear that now. Okay, so the people in the front, if you play in a church, they will not hear the scratchiness, guaranteed. Otherwise, you come to me, and then I'll, yeah.
Okay.
So more bow. Yeah, more bow. So, and then you need utmost control for this change. Do it a little bit lower. I think that might be the short bit a bit lower. Might be easier. All right, big bows. Yes, absolutely. And the next one, so he's playing around. It's almost as if you're in the one bit you're standing out in front, and then you're jumping behind a screen, you know, and then you go behind the screen. And now it's all the time a celebration of A minor. Ooh, again, all this. Right, so he's doing now the third bar. He's doing just a build up, but it's still just A minor. It's when it gets to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bar that it starts getting quite interesting. So from the beginning and go on a little bit further. Yeah, great. And then you have to keep your concentration with it. It was sometimes going away and sometimes coming back with it. And you know what? We can hear that. We can see it and we can hear it. And that's the amazing thing about playing. If it's actually visible and audible, definitely, if one is not 100% with it. So it's just not anything specifically about you. It's just a general thing. And if we are really with it the whole time, people will just be like, oh my God, that's amazing. Just because that's how it is. So stick with it. And this is why I was talking about Bach's short bow earlier, because the third bar is such an early Baroque thing. It's such an early Baroque thing with these tiny little, you know, fiddly notes. And it's a very playful thing. I'm glad you took that tempo because, and from the start, because it's so easy to start this piece too fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so easy. So what I would do now is regulate the longs, how much bow. Always be with your bow. I also get the feeling that your elbow you can open it up more.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's doing a certain thing. Yeah, I'll have another look. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and here we've developed, so we've had this static, which has been quite easy for us actually. Loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, and then another loud, but he develops. So actually that would be quite nice to hear then. So you've had this very static bit. Now we have this beautiful sequence. You know, it's a, I can't remember what it's called in English, I know what it's called in German, but it's got this ya, dun, 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 in the bass line, so we can actually sing it. Ya, dee, ya, da, dee, da. Bit of Pachelbel canon there, isn't it? But is it?
Not Pachelbel canon. It sounds just like da 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 da. It's just sort of descending fifths, the kind of descending stepwise bass.
Vivaldi. Yeah, Vivaldi.
Yes, Vivaldi, not Pachelbel.
I think it was in use everywhere. Anyway, it's this Quintfallsequenz, it's called in German, beautiful word. Falling sequence of fifths. And we are at home here. So he's just opened up with a very sort of like blank A minor thing. A minor loud, A minor quiet, A minor loud, A minor quiet, going on and on and on and on. And now we have this. So it's sort of like we've had this rigidity in the beginning, and then you can let go. And I would in this say we've had a static. Here we have the verses again. We've had static versus movement. So we have this static sort of, there's not much happening. It can stand like that. So then you can start being a bit fluid with the semis. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So we've had ta 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 ta, and then we can ta da 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 dee da, a bit sort of looser. That gives us this feeling of relaxed. You know what it is, I think, about the right arm? Check that you don't get too stiff in that muscle bit here. Okay. Just for something later. Yeah. You can ignore that now.
Okay. Shall I go from that bit there?
Go from the last sort of loud bit. So. So let's give you another start. Sorry, let's give you another start. Lots of bow. Lots of bow. It's almost like sort of it's insensitively large amount of bow. All right. So, and it's all fairly equal and then fairly small. Okay, and then it's flexible. And we have a bass line here. Yeah. We've got a bass line here. That was very nice. We've got a bass line here, so. And then we've got this lovely bass line, even going on. So we have bum, 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 bum. I quite like bringing that out, but that is a matter for if you want to do that on the day, if you feel like that. You can help us, lead us through Bach's architecture by preparing the corners a bit more. The turns from the forte into the piano are very sudden, or from the piano back to the forte. So lead us by the hand. It's almost like you're telling us where we're going. We need a bit of time. And then you can actually crescendo into it. Okay. So take a little, take from the same place again. I think it was bar 5.
Yeah.
I would actually, if possible, I have a really tiny fourth finger. Looks like a, yeah, I have a tiny fourth finger, but I would still do the beginning of this sequence with a fourth finger, because then you have, it's a broken chord. It's a broken chord. Same with this, where were we? Yeah. All broken chords, that's all it is, with a bass line hidden in it. I'm not a huge analyzer of things. I don't write a big A minor for the beginning, number 1, A minor 2. I'm not that sort of a person. I ask myself, why does he do it? And what does he want from it? And otherwise there's no point in analyzing something like this. So he has this falling sequence of fifths, he has these sevenths, he's making us feel at home, because actually in a static thing, we're not actually feeling very comfortable. Do you know what I mean? It's a statement, but we're not feeling at home and comfortable. So from this, you can do from the do from that now, make us feel comfortable and at home. And he's going all the way down. Ya, da, 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 da. And then he's reached the bottom. Then he starts doing question marks. That's where it changes again. But go from the falling fifths, please. So where he's changing, you change. So whatever you've done before, you do the other thing coming now. So if you had it a bit short at the beginning, at the end of this sequence going down, then I would do it broader. It's almost like a computer type of language, if then. So if one, then the other, to show that we have a change. So if I go from what you were doing, so this is the change there, so I'll go a bit further. So he's then woken up. So if you have the short, then I would take a very sort of bow, which is what I call the wishy-washy bow. There is no start and there's no glottal stop to it. So we have a very much like that. You see this very brushed stroke. So it's exaggerated, but it comes across when it's exaggerated. So try from where you've gone to. You can go after that. You can go. You know, from the B natural.
Yeah.
But you take the corner. Take the corner. So prepare it. Take the corner and prepare it in the beat before, where you're showing us now, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking a right-hand turn, and there you will be seeing.
Okay. That, sorry.
Okay, do me a, just to get the feeling, because this is a bow stroke, which is, funnily enough, something, it seems, is not so easy to do. So do me a, it's a very much like that. There's none of this, there's none of that. It's really, really flat. Just pull it back and forth like that. Yeah, and now go. Yeah. I can see. You know what? you're very flexible with your fingers, which is usually quite a good thing, but not here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sort of, this is a movement which comes from this part. It's this part.
Okay.
You got da 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 da. It's already very magical sound, and now it's about getting the turn from the one to the other. That's the bit where we need total body control. And I don't know about you, but I tend to play the violin with every other part of my body and not my arms or my hands,
Okay.
right? I use the torso. I use the torso. This is my favorite thing of it all. So, and it's not the way the winds would do it. The way the winds would do it is that they have support, and they are supporting, depending on how much pressure or support they need. They've got this air, an air column of air inside, which they have. But the way I do a violinist support is that I activate it. I wake it up. All right. It's not tense, and it can relax. But the difference between the sound is incredible, because if it's awake and activated and sort of like the muscles are holding, it's like a framework, then this can relax and it can do a lot of control. So we can go, I'm holding my body so I don't fly off. If I don't do that, it'll sound like this. Let's try it again. I can't do it like that. It's really difficult for me not to do it now. I have to compensate with these muscles. It's true for winds too. Thank you very much. I have to compensate with these muscles on the side, holding themselves together. So if I use this to support myself, it's almost as if you're holding your stomach in a bit. You're sort of like, it's just, they're awake, right? So I'll do it with awake. I don't have to be so tense here now. Do you want to give it a go? Give it a go.
Yeah.
So activate it first. Yes, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And you know what? You know what? Even the short notes become much clearer. So if you've got a place, it's somewhere in orchestra that you have to play, and you suddenly have to go, then you're thinking, oh dear, it's really difficult. So okay. Sounds uninvolved, doesn't it? But if I activate this, at least I get the impression it sounds more present. It's certainly easier to control. So for really accurate things, or with sudden bow changes, this is the source. This is it. And thank you. Our torso is the source of accurate playing, controlling loud and quiet sudden changes, but also if you have a really slow movement, which is difficult, activate it. It's much easier to control the slow movement. It even helps intonation. It's funny, but it actually works. It's sort of like it sends out sort of like it spreads out to the rest of the arms without us actually having to do anything extra. It's like a sort of like secret weapon. Yeah, so go from our favorite bit and really go opposite direction then when it gets to the spooky bit. Okay, try again. Yeah, try again. Start with the torso, because it wasn't there, so start with it before you start. Okay, can I just stop you? Sorry, I get the feeling that you're activating the upper part of it more. Can you activate the lower part? So imagine it's like yeah, it's the pulling in the stomach bit, but not actually really sucking it. This bit, all these side muscles, there's like a ring. I'm no anatomist, but for me, there's a ring. I play with this, I play with the back. It's all here, it's all this. I just play with that. So it's relatively low down, but not so that you feel, oh, I'm really tense. It's active, it's awake. You can take it away. And this is the tango moment for me. I really heard a difference. And I think you can experiment with how much you put in where, all right? Because I really think that made a huge difference. It's amazing what comes across, and you actually haven't done that much. It's just activating this. Isn't it great to have these shortcuts? And anyway, I love this tango moment. I would actually not stretch for that. This one, I would go over the string. That's a bit of a Nokia ringtone. And now we've got... So I like bringing out that because I like the sort of like, he's like having a bit of a game. We have had this dilemma. So we've had a... and a sort of scream. But it's not that serious. Well, I like playing that hard actually. Tango. Secret. Statement. So he's got so many different bits, you know what I mean? Then we are like an actor. Sing in the privacy of your own room, shower, whatever. Look for the bass lines. Take apart the harmonies and experiment with verses, because that is such a great help to actually finding what you want in a piece. Hard versus soft, long, short, loud, quiet, static, movement. You can take anything, happy, sad, and it's just a great tool, and then you can combine them. So it's a great, easy way of finding, okay, what can I do in that? So brilliant, lovely playing. Keep it up. And yeah, wishy-washy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm just sitting here, I'm lapping this all up because, I mean, also the torso, Rachel, that is applicable for all string players. Even if you're sitting down, as I do, to play the cello. We've talked about this many times. Engage that part. It's wonderful when you stand and play, actually, because in Brook Street, of course, you always stand. It's sort of odd to see you sitting down. And you talk about using the body, you use your whole body. We always watch Rachel's knees. I know that might sound a bit weird, but actually you've got very demonstrative knees. They give away an awful lot. We tend not to write dynamics or anything in, and what will happen, and it's quite free. And so the knees are the giveaway sometimes. Your body stance is much harder to be sitting down, I think, but I'm so enjoying this. Thank you again, Jennifer. Now we've got a change of musical direction now. We're jumping back in time. We're going back to 1676. So one of the earliest big repertoire pieces for the violin. And this is, I'll let our next violinist introduce the piece herself, but I'll just tell you a few words about Morag. But before I do, I don't want to forget, before we leave Bach, I don't know if you can see this, but Rachel has recorded the Bach sonatas and partitas and the Westhoff suites, and Rachel, can you get this online, or how does one get it?
Yeah, Amazon, anywhere really, I believe. Yeah, it's everywhere, available everywhere.
Or through me, actually, if you want to avoid the whole Germany, UK nightmare with customs and everything at the moment. I've got a few copies, actually, and I can't recommend it enough. Do sign up if you can. You can find loads more things. Follow us on Spotify and YouTube, all those kind of things. It really makes a big difference. And we've got a mailing list on our website, and that way we can stay in touch. We don't ask for any payment for these classes, but if you want to donate the equivalent of a cup of coffee, that's very possible and very much appreciated via our website. Again, it's all on the home page. But yes, the social shares and follows are really important, especially when we can't perform. So thank you for doing that if you can. So it gives me great pleasure now to introduce our final performer. This is Morag Johnston, who, Morag, you studied in The Hague, didn't you? And then in Bremen at the Hochschule für Künste. Is that right, Rachel?
Hochschule für Künste, yeah.
Okay, my German needs improving. Anything you want to add to that, Morag? And again, you were co-director, I believe, of the Huntley Summer School with Emily as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we ran a summer school together for a decade.
So anything you want to add to your biography, or just straight into playing? Up to you entirely.
I suppose it would be interesting for folk to know that my background is folk music, and originally I'm a folk player, and then I came to Baroque music.
And actually, I've noticed you're running some amazing online resources for working from memory in folk music at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing a project at the moment into memorization called Scottish Whispers. Actually, the next semester starts in 2 weeks. And that's a course for people who have never memorized music before and never played by ear, never learnt by ear. And it's a method for making it fun and possible. So I have people from all walks of life, professionals and people who are interested in folk music for the first time and everything. So
sounds amazing. And we can find details of that on your website, presumably.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it just Morag Johnston as your website?
Yeah, it's moragjohnston.net with a T, not like Boris Johnson.
Okay, good. Thank you for the clarification. If you can't find it, anyone, just email me and I'm very happy to forward anything. And also, if you've got questions, anything you want to ask Rachel, we'll probably overrun a little bit at the end, but I hope that's not a problem for anyone. Put questions or anything into the chat, and I'm going to stop for now because I want to hear some Biber from Morag.
Great. Yes, I'm going to play Passacaglia's Biber for you all today.
Morag, I don't think we're going to have the whole time today for the, sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I did say in the beginning we'll listen to it all, but it's really gorgeous. I just feel there's so much we can already work on.
Me.
Sorry?
That's fine. Cool.
Oh, for these sort of dances, as a, you know, Passacaglia being related to the Chaconne, all being related to this sort of dance, I think as a listener, I might need from you a greater connection with the pulse.
Okay.
And I think that maybe your life would be made easier if you have a faster main pulse. Do you know what I mean? I think you're making your life harder by taking such a slow one. Sometimes we take so slowly because we think, oh, it's then I have time to play all these chords, you know. Do you know what I mean? But actually, I think it's easier for you to make sound if it's a bit faster.
Okay.
There are all of this music, any repertoire we play has like it's got like puzzles and little problems that we have to solve. And I think you've solved them in a very interesting way in some of these. Actually, when you get from the Adagio back into the Allegro, that's always like, do we actually play what's written there, or how is it like a sudden speeding up? You know, then we add another beat. You know, how are we going to do it? I like what you did though. Cool. I like how you solved that problem. It made sense. There were a couple of other places where what you wanted. No, I should say it. You wanted something very particular in particular places. You need to lead us by the hand if you want them exactly like that, because then you need to tell us it's coming. Yeah. Right? Do you know what I mean? So if I just pick out what we just had, that you sometimes went very, yeah, this is the big bass bit. It was like, yeah, this is the big bass bit. Prepare us for it. You know, it was a bit of a surprise. Do you know?
Bum bum bum.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So it was you play it how you want to play it. That's fine, but we need to understand what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So I suggest going from the beginning. Are you using the facsimile?
Mm-hmm.
Great. The end of the first line is actually the same rhythm in the top part. Do you know what I mean? For people who don't want to read this, the Tufferson edition is exactly how it's written. He's done all the mistakes and everything, and how the notes are lined up above each other. The DTE, the older edition, that has already smoothed out so many things, so we can't make our own mind up about this. So we have the 1, 2, it splits up in bars at the end of the first line. The top is still going tam, padam, rhythmically. It's just the bottom, isn't it, not written under it.
I get you.
So some people play it like this. This is the thing. This is one of the problems posed that we have to find a solution to. You can play it like that, or you can play. Some people have turned that into like a sort of triplet end. That's another solution. But I think the top should stay. It's fairly clearly notated that it could stay. So different the beginning, yeah.
Just from the very beginning. Also, give me a sense of like how faster?
Well, I would take a faster part where you feel comfortable playing, and take that as your bass tempo. So maybe so imagine that going through once, and then start 2, 3, da.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Right, I'll just give it a go and see. Like that.
sorry to interrupt you just at the beginning.
Yeah.
I always apologize for interrupting because we're saying a long sentence. We are saying a whole meaningful paragraph. And when I interrupt someone, I have just interrupted what you have wanted to say. And it's just, you haven't had a chance to speak your sentence to the end. We have the opening. He has set it up. That is the painful note. And then he does what he has is like the inverted pedal. So we have it's this, well, it's sort of insistent, and then it comes again. Then he does, do you know what I mean? So you can do the it's like normal, and then it goes. So he's had this long build up to that D major coming back down, and then he starts. So we can make big circles. With movement of this pace, with this harmonic suggestion, if we make a really big arc, really slow arc, it gives a feeling of hugeness, of grandeur, right? Later, he becomes smaller. But in this one, he's setting up this incredible scene. So follow that when you start. And I won't stop you now for a little bit.
Okay, no bother. I just have to check my E because it's just gone a bit flat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So you have, sorry.
No.
So you have your cadence. You can either finish and start again. You went on.
Yeah.
You need to do that more obviously.
Okay.
If you want to connect them, then we have to understand it as being, this is what you want. I think you will. I love the fatalism of what you played before. You did this. So you have to go on. If you want that,
yeah,
do it more.
Okay.
And always be conscious of the parts that you don't think are your main part. So the bass line will, you know what I mean? And if you give it musicality, it's easier to practice it later. Take that away with you. You don't need to think about that now.
Okay. From the top again?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're doing your old rhythm.
Can you sing me again the
it's
other
just the same as before. So we had I separate the bow on this. Ta, 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 ta. And then I do a chord on that. But if you don't want to, you just shuffle them to later. It's always as with emotion. When we decide to do something, keep an anchor on the pulse.
Yeah.
All right. It might help with some torso. Yeah. I want to jump a little bit because I'm a bit worried that we're going to stick on one thing too much.
Sure.
you can get more what you want by taking away some other things. So you want more crescendo in the beginning, you take some bits away. I would start the first bar by being still setting the scene, and then maybe taking it away a bit, because it's easier to start with a bit more sound. Then take it away so that you can come more, and be conscious that bow, the amount of bow is, you can use less bow, and it makes such an effect than to take more bow.
Yeah, okay.
But always with the pulse in mind. Now I want to do actually a little jumpy faster bit. Can we jump to this? So here it's this little, it's your folky ornamentation, isn't it? Yeah, we have that at the end as well. I don't know how you do it. I go tense. I keep it up and I go brrrt. Do you know what I mean? Brrrt. And it's that. So very folky, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah.
I mean, so there's this skipping, which you can bring out more. These
Okay.
ones.
A bit more fun.
Bit more fun. That goes for the next one later as well. What's my? It's a bit like Drunken Sailor there. What should we do with the Drunken Sailor?
Sure.
Yeah. So do the first one, and you can sort of grab them all with that hand.
Yeah. Should I do that now? Okay, I'll try. So a bit more folky. Where is it? Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're not the same rhythm. So we've got, that was lovely. Here, this is also a fast one. They're fast and then they're slow. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines in them, and then there's 3.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so you can do dum ba dum bum ba da one ba da 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 ba ba da 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 dim ba ba da dum.
Ah, so I see what you mean about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. Yeah, you've got it. It's there. It's in your blood. Okay. And that's it. Absolutely amazing. I wanted to say, by the way, when you took your scale up, there's this one bit which I really love. I'm jumping back a few lines. This bit, at least all these scales. This one. He goes bass line, turns into soprano line, and that was gorgeous. That was brilliant. What you can do with the next bit is change the articulation. Here we have then and you can generally do that more. Play around with what articulation you can have in the semi-quavers. And you could do if short, then long. It's quite a good little way. So if it was long, then you go short. If it was short, I go long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? And then comes the section with sounded chords, and that's something that it's the middle line has the melody here. It's similar to Bach in that way. He's very advanced. And I think you can keep your angle of the bow very, very close, do you know? Yeah. Try to move as little between them. And if you turn your bow more, so you're not upright so much, the more you turn it, the more you're jumping like on a trampoline or bent knees.
Right.
If you're upright like this, it's very useful for certain things, but it means you're landing with straightened knees. It means that you're landing without any trampoline under you. So you tip, the more you tip it, the softer you can play chords. Oh, I love that! There's a cat in front of Morag's screen. So give that a go. Just give it maybe a bar intro.
Yeah.
Have you told your cat we're not playing with cat gut? Yeah? Sheep gut.
It's they're on a diet, so it's very insistent. From here, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. And then just to recap, so I'm doing more sideways of a bow.
When you're doing the chords, and very, very little of this sideways movement. Try and keep them as many, like 2 and 2.
Yeah.
And then you can balance off into the middle one, you see.
Yeah, so then I have more the middle voices coming out.
Yeah, that one stays long. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give it a go. So we've got from, oh yeah.
Yeah. Give me an experiment. Just take an easy chord and start to. So start with 2, just a D major with a up and then down, up. It's a bit like breathing.
Okay.
Start with a chord. Start with 2 notes.
Just the 2?
And then roll up, but try and roll up with as little one note as possible.
Okay.
So you have to. You might find it easier going a little bit further away where there's less. It's so tight here. It's not tight here. So the more we go out and we press, we can actually. When we sink in, we can actually almost have no one string at all.
Oh, that's a good tip.
So then just.
Wait. Chaos. Yeah, that's a good tip. So more here. It's much easier, isn't it?
And now always practice things with emotion. You will be playing them with emotion later. So we go wah-dee, wah-dee. So try and get a rhythm in so you get that feel.
Yeah.
Then you need to control how fast your up bow is. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to, but it should feel like breathing. Ta, ta, ta.
Yeah.
Yeah. So break it, go faster to the top. Puata, puata.
Like.
Do you know what I mean with the pua? So we have the pua.
Biber.
Yeah, but we could. Yeah, but I would go pua because this is the pu and this is ah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now be proud. You know what I mean? Give it a feeling. Either be depressed, be happy, be proud. So then we do it really sort of.
Yeah.
Keep it. Keep it. You had it the first chord. Be brave and just keep it. Yeah. I can see you have to focus on that one emotion.
Yeah.
And hold it in your mind, because it went off and you were looking for it again. You thought, proud, proud. Feel it in your heart. You know, what is it that makes you feel proud? If you're looking for that, or happiness, that's something to think of for later. I wanted just to say this next bit. We have one bit where you played an F natural, and in another you've just automatically assumed it's an F sharp. So I say, why is it not an F sharp here as well? And that is the bottom of the first page in the facsimile. That bit. Here, this bit. I would say, think of the harmonic environment. I think it's an F sharp. I don't think he's going modal.
No. Cool.
Because we have a semitone movement like that later, and he does it on purpose, where we have so he does those semiquavers gum in very particular places. It doesn't feel, I would stick with it. I would put an F sharp in that.
Good. Okay.
And I think there's a lot there for you to work on. I think you've done a brilliant job. I think you've done a brilliant job in and actually taking what I've said and just put it in. That is not easy, I know, and over Zoom. And I think all four of you today have been doing brilliantly. And it's been such a pleasure to listen to so many different players coming from all their own, with all their own histories, you know, and coming from their own sides and how they see things. It's been really, really great. So no, I've really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Can I thank you, Rachel, because I think I've had the nicest job of all, because all I've had to do is work out technology, which is not my strong point, but I haven't had the stress of trying to perform or teach over Zoom. I'm full of admiration for all of you. Emily, Anna, Jennifer, Morag, absolutely beautiful. I mean, we could have sat up. Well, I'm happy just to sit here all afternoon until my computer kicks me out. We've had such wonderful comments coming in. I know it's difficult to read as you're playing, and sorry, Rachel, for pinging you a few comments as you're teaching. I know it's really hard to try and think and then have somebody ping in a text at you.
Totally okay, Tati. Totally.
Okay, I'm learning as I go when the right moment is to do it. It's been a stunning afternoon, and a few people have asked if they can access it again because there's so much material to take in. Obviously, I'll check with all of you panelists that you're happy to do that. Okay, we can email about that. If there are any bits you want me to take out or put in, I don't know, I can do that. And I just wanted to thank you again. And also, I know Lisette is in the audience, and I don't want to forget that we have her introduction to French Baroque next Saturday, which, although it's on recorder and directed primarily at woodwind players, flute and recorder, of course it's equally relevant to all of us, all musicians. So that's happening at 4 o'clock. It's a slightly different time next Saturday. Again, that one will be archived. It's quite full, and if for some reason you can't get on, email me and I can always let you have a copy of the recording, subject to the players being happy with that again. But Rachel, it just remains for me to thank you. Hamburg feels an awfully long way away sometimes, but actually you're only a matter of 2 feet away from me now, which is rather lovely, because we actually haven't seen each other in the band since November 2019 with you. It's a crazy long time. So thank goodness for this. We next meet in Scotland, actually, and for Morag and Jennifer, a couple of Scots among us. That's subject to COVID and all those things. That's when we'll next be together. But until then, do some social follows and things. Rachel's put up a couple of wonderful films of her playing on YouTube. It's all free. And thank you so much. I guess there's no chat because nothing's come in. I think you've given everyone so much to think about, Rachel. Probably nobody has any more questions. So I'll sign off now, and thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Amazing day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.